You crawl into a soft bed, pull up a warm blanket, and scroll your phone for 40 minutes watching pointless videos before drifting off to sleep. It's simple, comfortable, and honestly, kind of beautiful. Now, violently strip all of that away. No phone, no bed, no protective walls. Instead, imagine you are sitting in a pitch-black forest, wrapped in a coarse animal skin, listening to something massive moving in the bushes just 20 feet away from you. That was a completely normal Tuesday night for your ancestors. We spend a third of our entire lives asleep, but we rarely stop to think. When the sun went down, when the world went completely black, and the planet's apex predators woke up to hunt, what was the actual plan? 1. The stark cognitive dissonance of midnight. Modern nocturnal comfort is defined by a series of predictable, cushioned rituals. You retreat to a soft mattress, adjust a heavy duvet, and spend nearly an hour mindlessly scrolling through short-form videos of pets fumbling digital objects. Perhaps you make a couple of aimless trips to the kitchen, seeking a snack you do not actually need, before drifting into a peaceful, climate-controlled slumber. It is an uncomplicated, almost poetic existence. Now, violently strip away every layer of that security. Remove the dry walls, the smartphone, the bed, and the comforting ceiling. Instead, transport your consciousness to a pitch-black, primordial forest hundreds of thousands of years ago. You are wrapped in a coarse animal hide, sitting on cold earth, acutely listening to the snapping of a heavy branch just 20 feet away in the dense undergrowth. This was not a rare, catastrophic emergency for our evolutionary ancestors. It was simply a standard Tuesday night. This jarring contrast forces us to confront a fundamental question that modern history textbooks rarely pause to ask. What did early humans actually do when the sun went down? When the world dissolved into an absolute, crushing void, and the apex predators of the ancient world began their daily shift, what was the human game plan? We spend roughly a third of our modern lives asleep. Yet we fundamentally fail to realize how terrifyingly radical, dangerous, and physically vulnerable that basic biological experience used to be for more than 99% of our collective human history. 2. The defensive geometry of pre-fire survival. Before humanity mastered the element of fire, the setting of the sun triggered an immediate existential crisis. This was not the mild twilight of contemporary cities where distant streetlights bleed through bedroom curtains. This was a total, suffocating, blinding darkness. It was the kind of absolute blackness where holding your hand directly in front of your face yielded nothing but empty void, and where every sudden sound in the brush read like a potential obituary for your tribe. In this dark theater, the rules of the food chain completely inverted. The ancient world's most lethal hunters, saber-toothed cats, massive leopards, hyenas, and lions are naturally crepuscular or nocturnal. Their evolutionary advantage peaked precisely when human vision failed. Consequently, twilight signaled a terrifying shift where humans dropped from dominant hunters to highly vulnerable, nutritious prey. Without advanced weapons, the only viable defense was geographic and social engineering. Groups migrated to high-altitude or tightly enclosed terrain, treating the natural landscape as a defensive fortress. Caves became the ultimate luxury real estate. This preference had nothing to do with an aesthetic fondness for damp stone, but rather because a cave offered a brilliant tactical advantage, a single point of entry. By putting their backs against solid rock, early humans eliminated the threat of a flank attack. Within these stone sanctuaries, tribes huddled closely, combining their body heat and creating an early acoustic alarm system. If any individual stirred, panicked, or detected a threat, the collective group was instantly alert. 3. The fire revolution and the psychological shield. The domestic mastership of fire, occurring roughly 400,000 years ago, completely rewritten the rules of human existence and permanently altered our relationship with the night. From a clinical survival standpoint, fire provides obvious practical benefits like thermal regulation and the ability to cook food, which radically maximized calorie absorption and fueled brain evolution. However, its most profound impact was arguably psychological. Fire fundamentally functioned as an energetic boundary wall, slicing through the deep dark to carve out a brilliant circle of safety. Large apex predators rarely cross into the direct radius of a campfire's glow. This behavior is not due to a physical barrier preventing their advance, but rather because their entire hunting methodology relies on the concealment of darkness. An open, crackling fire represents a chaotic visual anomaly that disrupts their specialized night vision and induces instinctual hesitation. Sitting within this protective dome of light, early humans successfully insulated themselves from the horrors of predation through the sheer weaponization of illumination. The night was no longer a period of passive hiding. It became a structured environment that humans could actively inhabit. For the first time in evolutionary history, the setting of the sun did not dictate an immediate cessation of conscious life. Fire effectively extended the human day, providing our ancestors with a safe, illuminated window of time that was completely detached from the exhausting physical demands of daytime foraging and survival. 4. The campfire as the first cultural hard drive. The creation of an evening space free from immediate danger sparked a profound cultural transformation. During the daylight hours, human interaction is fundamentally transactional and logistical. Ancestral daytime conversations resembled corporate morning briefings, focusing strictly on tactical coordination, determining who would hunt in specific territories, identifying which foraging routes were viable, and assessing immediate environmental threats. Once the tribe gathered around the evening embers, however, the linguistic dynamic shifted dramatically. Anthropologists studying contemporary hunter-gatherer societies, such as the Hadza of Tanzania or the Jew, Hoansi of the Kalahari, have uncovered a staggering linguistic asymmetry. While daytime speech remains bound to practical survival, roughly 80% of all nighttime campfire conversation is dedicated entirely to rich, elaborate storytelling. Long before the invention of written text, parchment, or digital storage media, the nocturnal campfire operated as the primary hard drive of human civilization. Through complex narratives, ancestral mythologies, and generational folklore, communities actively encoded their moral frameworks, survival strategies, and tribal histories. The campfire was humanity's original cinema, where the storyteller functioned as the vivid screen, and the listeners developed deep cognitive capacities for imagination, empathy, and abstract thought. By gathering in the dark to narrate the cosmos to one another, early humans transitioned from mere biological organisms into cultural beings capable of envisioning realities that did not yet exist. 5. Debunking the myth of the monophasic sleep block. Modern society operates under a rigid, almost dogmatic assumption regarding human sleep architecture. A healthy individual must achieve 8 continuous, uninterrupted hours of rest in a single block. Consequently, when a modern professional awakens unexpectedly at 3 a.m., panic immediately ensues. We instinctively reach for smartphones, spiral into digital medical forums, and pathologize a completely natural state of consciousness as clinical insomnia or a severe physiological deficiency. However, groundbreaking historical data compiled by scholars like Roger Eckerch reveals that this monolithic sleep block is an entirely artificial byproduct of the Industrial Revolution. For the vast majority of documented human history, human rest was fundamentally biphasic, naturally dividing into 2 distinct segments known as first sleep and second sleep. Historical records, ranging from Homeric epics and Roman legal texts to medieval court documents and private diaries, demonstrate that people routinely retired a few hours after nightfall, slept for roughly 4 hours, and then woke up completely naturally. This midnight waking period was not characterized by stress, adrenaline, or anxiety. Rather, individuals surfaced into a state of calm, meditative lucidity. They would remain awake for an hour or two before gently drifting back into a secondary sleep cycle that lasted until dawn. This biological rhythm was globally ubiquitous until the widespread commercial adoption of gaslighting and electric bulbs forcibly compressed our natural sleep cycles into a single, dense block. 6. The sacred and productive anatomy of midnight waking. The quiet interval, bridging first and second sleep, was far from a useless empty void. It was widely regarded as one of the most productive, peaceful, and spiritually potent segments of the day. Because the ambient world was completely still and the human brain was freshly rested from its initial sleep cycle, this window offered an unparalleled environment for focused activity. In numerous theological traditions, these deep night hours were considered highly sacred, offering a pure, unpolluted channel for prayer and divine contemplation, as the human soul was believed to be uniquely receptive to higher consciousness. Beyond the spiritual realm, this waking block served a wide array of ordinary domestic and social functions. People routinely utilize this time to reflect deeply on their dreams, tend to fading hearth fires, nurse infants, or check on vulnerable livestock. It was also widely recognized as an optimal period for sexual intimacy. 16th century medical texts specifically recommended this exact window for conception, noting that the human body was uniquely relaxed, warm, and highly attuned to physical connection. In denser medieval towns, it was not uncommon for individuals to navigate the quiet streets, to quietly chat with neighbors, or complete minor household chores. This nocturnal wakefulness carried zero negative social stigma. It was not viewed as a medical malfunction or an anxious aberration, but rather as an ordinary, beautifully integrated phase of the natural human daily rhythm. 7. The weaponization of darkness as an analytical tool. Ancient populations did not simply endure the dark or treat it as a passive gap between days. They deliberately engineered solutions to optimize it, turning the night into an advanced laboratory of expertise. Archaeological excavations at Border Cave in South Africa reveal that as far back as 200,000 years ago, early humans were constructing sophisticated bedding platforms lined with a foundational layer of ash. This was a deliberate application of chemical pest control, as ash naturally repels biting insects and mites, proving that prehistoric minds were actively utilizing systematic observation to engineer more comfortable rest. As civilizations advanced, the night sky was transformed into a vital tool for navigation, agriculture, and industry. Polynesian navigators conquered thousands of miles of open Pacific waters without a single physical instrument, relying instead on a memorized mental library of star tracks, nocturnal cloud formations, and deep ocean swells felt through the hull of their canoes. In the Iron Age, metalworkers in Zimbabwe purposefully operated their smelting forges exclusively at night. They realized that bright daytime sunlight washed out the subtle color variations of molten iron, whereas the dark provided a perfect high-contrast backdrop to accurately read whether the metal had achieved a red, orange, or white heat state. From the nocturnal irrigation systems of Bronze Age Oman designed to prevent evaporation, to the night shift sanitation systems of ancient Mohenjo-daro, darkness was repeatedly utilized as a precision instrument. 8. Epilogue. Reclamation of the prehistoric mind. When we reflect on the nocturnal lives of our ancestors, our modern bias inclines us to picture a terrified, primitive collective huddled helplessly in the dark, waiting passively for the sun to rescue them. This perspective is completely inaccurate. The night was not an empty absence of life. It was a deeply populated, profoundly meaningful world, governed by its own unique rules, skills, and cultural milestones. While the convenience of the modern world, complete with running water, advanced antibiotics, instant digital connectivity, and artificial light, is undoubtedly worth the trade-off, we have undeniably lost something precious in our total conquest of the dark. By flattening the natural distinction between day and night, we have alienated ourselves from the ancient, instinctual rhythms of our own biology. Therefore, the next time you find yourself suddenly awake at 3 a.m., lying quietly in the dark with a mind that feels inexplicably clear and tranquil, resist the modern urge to panic. Do not reach for the artificial glare of your smartphone, and do not let your mind slip into an anxiety-driven spiral of self-diagnosis. Instead, simply allow yourself to occupy that dark space for a while. Let your thoughts drift smoothly through the quiet house, exactly as your ancestors did for thousands of generations. You are not experiencing a medical failure, nor are you broken. You are simply experiencing a beautiful moment where your ancient body remembers a profound rhythm it was never truly supposed to forget.